All right. Everybody, happy April Fool's Day.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't,
Who's the jokester, Gary?
yeah, anybody got a joke?
No.
Right here. Start with the pledge. Allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let us pray. Gracious God, we've come from many places and we've made it here. So in this time of arrival, welcome us in as we continue to fellowship around the table. Help us to find ways to reach out to a world in need. Help us also to benefit from just the great community that we have together. Be with Gary as he continues to share his passion and his great acts of service with us. We pray all this in your holy name. Amen.
All right, let's break for lunch. All right. Does this work?
Yeah.
Okay. Just gonna run through a few announcements and then as an April Fool's Day joke, we have Gary Anderson as our guest speaker today. First off, thanks for everybody that showed up for the town hall meeting we did. Saw a lot of faces, missed a lot of faces. If anybody has anything else that they kind of want to say, we're really just sort of looking for some guidance going forward into next year, next fiscal year. You know, mostly just kind of wanting to poll the audience and see what aspects of the club are important to you, what you're wanting to change, what you're hoping to change, that sort of thing. So, you know, if you didn't make it, it's okay. If you have anything you'd like to say, feel free to say it to me or email it to me or anybody else on the board for that matter. Continuing on, just a few announcements of items upcoming or events upcoming. April 12th from 9 to noon is the service project. This is the environmental something at Calvin.
Oh, it was by Placer Creek.
Yeah, by Plaster Creek, thank you. Brad Tooker is the contact on that. His info is in the NUDA.
It's also on the event calendar.
And it's on the event calendar. So reach out to him if you can make it. It's again 9 a.m. to noon on April 12th. Continuing in chronological order, we then have another meeting here, April 15th. Saturday, April 19th is the Shelley Irwin Fun Run. If anybody has heard of that. Shelley, is there any further plug you want to make on that?
It's at Millennium Park and it's not about Shelley, but it is a fundraiser for our WGB. So obviously it would be cool to see as many friendly faces as possible, but it's an opportunity. We're celebrating health and wellness with, of course, raising funds for WGBU. So WGBU.org/funrun.
And you have to register?
You do have to register. There's also a virtual. Registration starts on site there. We start at 10. So you can sleep in. It's Easter weekend. There will be an Easter bunny and an Easter egg hunt there as well. I think it'll be pretty cool. Yeah, I think we've got a few people coming to the table. So, so it's a little surreal, you know, as I often say, you're kind of supposed to be dead when these things are not adaptable, but we'll make it to the 19th. Nothing, no April Fools on that one.
What time does the run start? What time does the run start?
Run starts at 10.
Oh, it starts at 10.
Yes,
Okay.
so you can sleep in. So thank you, and it's been a fun ride.
Couple other notes for the calendar. Annual meeting, annual dinner is Tuesday, June 10th. That's also in the NUDA. Drive for Vision is the following Monday, June 16th. I think there's brochures on the table. As always, looking for sponsors, players, raffle prize donations, anything you can do. Jeremy, am I missing anything? Is there?
Those are the big ones right now.
Okay, just looking for some support. So players, sponsors, and raffle prize donations are always welcome. I also have raffle tickets still for the Lions Foundation of Michigan today's meeting and the meeting on April 15th are your last chances to buy these, because I gotta submit them to the foundation. We're about halfway through our stack. If we sell all of them, we get $5 a ticket back to the club. They are $10 a piece. I've got about 50-ish left, 45 maybe. So if you're interested in supporting our club and the Lions Foundation of Michigan and giving yourself a chance to win up to 10 grand, see me for tickets. And just making sure I'm not missing anything. Anybody else have anything for the good of the club that I'm forgetting?
Could I put it on the foundation? A lot of us don't realize what that foundation does. In our case, for our member, Lion Usman, it is helping, pay some of the extraordinary costs for their daughter's vision, care co-payments. Usman's two daughters have his same congenital condition of cataracts and congenital glaucoma. And they are actually going through, beside our specialists in town, they go to Chicago for advanced surgeries. Through the foundation at Lions of Michigan, that has helped pay for some of the co-payments from that. So these tickets that we're buying, that's what the funds go for around the state, to help those fill in those blanks.
Okay, with that, if there's nothing else from anybody, we'll turn it over to the tail twister.
Hello, everybody. Haven't checked to see what the pin count is, but relying on your honesty to wave your very good.
Not a-
Yeah. Thank you very much. But, oh yes, I'm supposed to stand in front of this, aren't I? You know, or move around or whatever. Reminder, get your sticker for your parking. If you haven't gotten it yet, it's up there for you. And happy bucks.
Have happy bucks.
I got happy bucks.
I have happy bucks.
That's good.
Okay, I have $1 to thank both Brent and Ben for coming to my convention. They had a good time. I appreciated them being there. We had a good time. It's done. My other happy buck is the place that I had my convention at a week ago at the Comfort Inn in Mount Pleasant. The people that are having it there this weekend just got called yesterday and had to be canceled out because they had a main water break. So I am thankful that mine went off.
They're happy bucks.
I got two happy bucks.
So one of those funny bills, yeah.
Yeah, it's legal tender. First happy buck would be my daughter, who started driver's training today, my last driver. That's pretty exciting. And then my second happy buck, just for, attending our district convention and seeing our glorious leader, District Governor Cheryl Anderson, up there running the show. It was very cool to see. So
Oh, thank you.
happy to
Very
be
good. Yeah.
I have double happy bucks for one good reason. My husband had a very successful heart surgery, and I'm just grateful to the surgeon, to his robot, and to everybody at the Heart Center.
Have some happy bucks. First off, just returned from a 2-week pilgrimage to Malta and Rome. But the bigger part of my happy buck is yesterday, my daughter donated a kidney successfully. And, for her, so she's recovering right now in the hospital.
Well, I have happy bucks for being down in Florida for a couple of weeks and coming back from that. And in the coming back part of it, we got into town, we got to our house over in Cascade about 6 o'clock Sunday night.
Nice.
If you recall, there was a small storm that was coming. We pulled into the driveway right when the siren went off, and we're quite thankful we left when we did. We stopped at the right spots and kept moving. So it was for the most part, it looked like it was going to be just fine. We had rain, and then of course, like everybody else, we fortunate here for the most part. Gone on to that, so. Any other happy bucks? Yes?
Right thing on the Ireland game, you know, yes, we are in print, but, oh, I made the paper. Yeah, it's about 10 years old. So thank you, Jamie.
You? Any, yes? Steve?
A week ago, yesterday, on Monday, I had a heart catheterization down at the Trinity Hospital. And I had a call this week that everything is clear.
Anybody else? Happy bucks? Okay, I think we're moving on
Happy
to
crowd.
the raffle. Yeah.
1-3.
We don't put that in.
Not for a while. Thank you.
Nice.
Oh, you did that well. But I didn't make the football team.
A lot of reasons.
Dropped it.
Oh.
Alright, white chips in.
Right, it is.
Right,
It is, that's fine. Then Brady won about $12.
Yeah.
Oh.
He won 5 games. $5.
4, 2, 4, 8, 1, 5.
Hey.
Right.
Wow.
Could happen again.
And the next one for the chance, highly unlikely chance of picking the white chip up.
Last 4 digits.
Hey, that's a little
Is that the
Jeffy.
red ticket?
Nice.
$30 pop.
Ooh, sweet. $30. I might be able to retire.
I hope you win it.
Oh, sorry, Jeff.
More than Brent.
Hey, as promised, I'm gonna turn it over to Gary, who I think is gonna talk to us about missions and about ball for all
All kinds of stuff.
All right. Very good.
Did you take the $5 raffle out?
I took it out of the bucket.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah, I think we got all these.
So hi, my name's Gary.
Hi, Gary.
Hi, Gary.
Come to the club.
Are you guys new here?
Just need you to flip the middle part.
Can you hear me?
Need the middle.
No.
You never hear you.
You listen to Cheryl too much. Has anybody ever heard of the Lions of Japan,
No, it's good.
the Lions of India,
No.
It wasn't.
Lions of Canada, Lions of Germany, Lions of Australia? They all exist. All of those organizations exist. And, but you've never heard about the Lions of the USA, have you? The United States? You know, we founded this organization back in 1917. And 1920 became international when the Detroit Club sponsored a club in Windsor during Prohibition, because the Detroit Lions were going over there to drink. And the folks in Windsor thought, what do you got? Who are you people? Who are you guys? And they said, we're Lions. So that's what caused them to become international. So until the late 40s, after World War II, and in the early 50s, other countries then started joining the association. And when they did, they formed their own group because their cultures are all unique. For instance, in Germany, Lions of Germany pay $85 a year to the Lions of Germany organization. And they have their own building and their own executive officers. So beside all the dues that they pay, there's another $85. In Japan, to be a Lion, to join Lions Club costs $25,000. And you say, why so much? Well, that doesn't go to international. Their culture over there is that they don't do fundraisers. Until 15, 20 years ago, they didn't do fundraisers. So their money funded all the money that they gave away, and they are still our biggest contributors to the Lions International Foundation. So what happens in those cultures, and same thing in India, which has now the largest membership of Lions of the world for a country, it's the upper tier of income level people that are Lions members. So culture changes. Back in the 70s, we were still the largest members of the association in the United States. We were so large, in fact, that in the international parade, I don't think anybody here besides Cheryl and I has been to an international parade. At the international convention, all the countries march in the parade. And back then, the US was so big that it was overwhelming to the whole rest of the world, so they split us up. They divided us up and had us march alphabetically by our state name. So all the time that we were in the parade, Michigan followed Mexico. Which, you know, I guess when we first did it, didn't mean a lot of difference to me. But you see in the parade, here's all the Japanese, and they're all in the same outfits. And all of the countries have their traditional garb when they're in the parade, because that's their culture, they're unified. So when people ask me about Lions clubs, they said, oh, we have our club, we have our district, we have the state. How about the Lions of the United States? Well, it doesn't exist because we're international. So in those years, since the late 70s, our membership has not kept up with the membership of the rest of the world, and we're no longer the largest. And we kept getting, I'll say, dumped on. When I was on the international board, they said, what's the matter with the US? You know, why can't you guys grow your membership? Well, we're the founders. You know, we started in 1917, this club in 1919. So we've been around at least 40 years longer than most of these other places. And I told them it's like Sears. Sears was the dominant force in retailing, wasn't it, way back? You know, you could buy their catalog, you could buy a house. And then the internet came out. And they decided not to do anything with the internet. And the guy selling books out of his bookstore, out of his garage, decided to use the internet. And now Jeff Bezos has Amazon. So things changed. In a lot of ways, Lions in the United States did not change. Our roots are really old. Still a lot of old traditions. We go around to visit clubs. You see some really old stuff. Somebody says, well, I've attended every meeting for 50 years. Because they all go to lunch meeting and they think that's what being a member is. Well, we know that that isn't what it's about. And when somebody gets an award for perfect attendance, I'm thinking, yeah, did you do anything? Right? Because what do? We do service. So I got kind of frustrated with all that. And when I got reappointed to the board 4 years ago, I put forward the idea of let's march together as the United States. Well, that happened last year. For the first time in 40 years, the US marched together in the international parade as the United States of America with the flag in front. I said, why don't we have the Lions of the US? Why don't we have that organization? So this hat that I have has that same logo, but the wording on it says Lotus, Lions of the US. Well, that was a great idea, except we found out that it's already trademarked. Okay.
That's not
The trademark.
that's not good for a wedding. I told him that, I go, it's a
I thought it was a good idea. Okay, and
You been
So-
sued yet or not?
Hmm?
Have you been sued personally?
no, we changed it really quick. That's a collector's item. Not even threatened, but you know, it's an operating system way back for the computer guys, right, and a car. So we changed it to Lions of the United States, Lions USA, which stands for Lions of the US and its affiliates. So what are affiliates? Affiliates are like US territories, but for Lions Club, it's Puerto Rico, Suriname, which is in South America, different places, the Trinidad and Tobago, they're called the multiple district 60, so the islands of the Caribbean, where pretty much they speak a lot of English. They're not considered Central America, they're not considered South America, so there really are affiliates. So it's not just the landlocked US and Hawaii and Alaska, it's our affiliates. So finally, I had a little bit more help. And last fall, we've really formed Lions USA with the help of Brian Sheehan, the past international president, who did our 100th anniversary. You know, the guy with the videos and all the crazy stuff. He's now the past president, so he has some time. And last week, we became a 501c3. And you say, why did we do that? Why would you not be a 501c4 like our club? Well, a 501c3 can take donations, correct? And we already have relationships built with Amazon and a couple other companies where they can donate money to this organization, and then we can use it for service and use it for operations. That way, as it says on there at the bottom, every member in the United States, every Lions member in the United States is a member of Lions USA at no cost, not paying the $85 that Germany did. When I brought this idea up to one of the directors from Germany that we wanted to do this, he said, you've got headquarters in Oak Brook. Why do you need that? And I said, at headquarters, when they put out a policy or any kind of information, it has to apply to the whole world of Lions. They don't do anything that's specifically US. And he goes, oh, I didn't know that. So the rest of the world thinks that since we have headquarters in the US, that they do stuff to help us and to help us unite and do different service projects put together. So the organization started, we have as you can see, the top part is kind of the mission, and I think you can all read it. Yeah, let me know. Inspiring Lions to serve and lead with integrity, encourage fun, camaraderie, and fellowship and family as we grow. And we have a organization, and there's no chairman, there's no board, we just have a steering committee. And it just started with putting people together. The great thing about it too is the goal is to get information to Lions members, not just to leaders at mid-level tiers. So everybody on these meetings, when you talk to them, nobody has a title, even though we have past international presidents, vice presidents of the organization, Mark Lyon out of Connecticut. It's Mark, it's Gary, it's whoever. So the idea is to bring in people with different talents, different committees, advocacy. Why do we need advocacy? Well, you know, Lions was the first NGO to sign the Charter of the United Nations back in, I think it was 46, 47. We were the first one. So we have a strong relationship with government, and we try to continue that. Not that the UN is government, they have their own problems with our government. They don't want to fund them. Education, bring education programs, marketing, and this one's huge. We had I forgot his name, talking about AI 2 meetings ago, and using AI to promote Lions. If you go to Lions USA on Facebook or on YouTube, you will see all kinds of information with stuff that's been created for it. Lions Virtual is another one that we've created. So membership, the idea is to give clubs ideas on how to make membership stronger, and service. We had our first nationwide service week back in January, where we encouraged vision screening, vision-related stuff around the country. And in 42 of the states, they did vision screening during that week and got a lot of publicity from it. We actually did one at the Detroit Auto Show, where we did vision screening on 2 weekends. And this is just for kids. I'm going to show you the device we used in a couple minutes. And we screened 550 kids in 4 days there. So people could come into the auto show, had booths set up where they'd have screenings done. And then 20% of those were referrals that needed further eye care. So that is the Lions USA. Just so as you hear more stuff come up.
There was an optician that brought her daughter that actually was referred. Just didn't know it.
So the whole purpose is to take ideas that are going well on the East Coast and pass it to the West Coast, and just to share ideas of what works within the United States. Again, our culture is totally different from many of the other cultures around the world. So what else do we have? My other project. Anybody ever hear of Ball for All? Good catch. And a rocket. Oh. Thank you. You didn't move really quick. So this ball, Cheryl and I saw when we were in Nairobi, Kenya, 2 years ago on a mission, and this ball program, A Ball for All, and the goal is to, well, this is the creator of it, and he is the sole person behind it worldwide. And Elias Mastoris is from Greece. He's a line member. And the vision is for every pupil with vision impairments to have access to quality education and the right to play. So the goal is to donate this little football, they call, because around the world that is a football, to every child with visual impairment, that they own the ball. So you don't just put it in the school where they can go and play when they're at school. The idea is that they have it, and you say, well, it's small. The purpose is that they can also hold it. So you can play catch with it, and you can play soccer with it, and you can play with kids with vision, where they'll actually put blindfolds on the sighted kids and let them play. Right now, that ball exists in 215 countries, and it just came here after we saw it in Nairobi. So somehow I'm the US distributor for it until we have more people. The ball itself, just a second. We need some sound.
We can actually hear.
I'll get to that. You come out of that?
Yeah, that's real good.
If I put this there, that would be the better.
All know that every child has the right to education and every school must embrace difference. They can hear it. So we made a special ball that jingles so that all children can play with it. The most important thing is that if ball is not for sale, it can only be donated. Learn more about the education program, A Ball for All.
So you get to see it work a little bit. Each ball costs $35, which includes everything, manufacturing, in Greece, shipping here, getting through customs, currency exchanges, taxes, all that stuff. To ship it that far, they have to order 100 balls at a time. And because of that, that's why I decided to be. Stuff happens.
Yeah.
Distributor to start with in the US. And if people want to order less than 100 balls, they just go through me. And we can ship it to them. What's great is shipping in the US postage in the US, if it's for the visually impaired, postage is free. And I didn't know that until 4 months ago when I got started with this. And I tested it. All you have to do is have free matter for the blind and print disabled up there. And I took it to the post office to make sure that they understood it. So they put on their zero cost and had a tracking number for it. So I shipped it to myself and it works great. I just sent out a dozen balls yesterday to North Carolina. So the plan is up there, resources, how to find visually impaired kids around the country. I'll show you the link to that. And the recipient must be minimally legally blind, which means 2200 or worse best corrected acuity. And 2200, if I was 2200, I could tell all of your shapes in this room, but I couldn't see your face in detail. So they don't have to be absolutely blind. They just have to be visually impaired, legally blind or worse. And some of them might have like retinitis pigmentosa, where they only have a narrow field. It can be the peripheral field is causing their visual impairment. And the goal, some students will say, hey, they don't want the ball because they don't want to have the stigma of that, but they want the ball at home. So the idea is if they take it, they don't have to take it out in public, they'll want it at home, and they can practice with it. And this is meant for folks that are going to be interested in doing it, make contact with somebody visually impaired, determine their desire, deliver the ball, leave contact information for follow-up. What's being done in a lot of places around the country is they're actually forming small leagues where the kids can play, and they'll play with sighted kids. The goalie's obviously going to be sighted, playing on smaller fields so they don't have to run as far. Because when the ball stops moving, you don't hear it. So it's not a beeper ball, and as you talked about, there's no battery in there. It doesn't wear out. The ball's very durable. There's little
Discs with jingles in them.
jingles in there where the ball is. It's flat. So it's not bouncing around inside the ball. So this is a scan where you can take and go to. If you scan it, it'll take you to somebody who's interested in the program. It takes you to this page. These are just some of the resources that we make available for people that are interested. Research for blind and vision impaired in Michigan. Of course, we've got, I know Tim's wondering, where am I? Right there, Associated for the Blind and Visually Impaired. So we tried to make this so that nationwide, this is a document that they can get links to find visually impaired kids or programs around the country. And then if somebody's interested, they can either scan it or go to the link. And it takes it to my first experience as a Google Doc. And somebody signs up, and this is for anybody who's interested in participating in the program. And just email address, phone number, district name. If they want to order balls and they want to order 100, it gives the email address to order it from Elias, and it just goes through PayPal, works very well. If they want to order them from me, I give people 4 different ways to pay me, actually 5 because they can pay cash. I found out that you don't send the balls until you get paid. I found that out really quick. So this gives them 5 different ways, and I had one Saturday who those 5 ways didn't fit. And if somebody's just interested, they want information, they can do that and submit it. So it's just been really started here. We had the balls really since January. It takes about 6 weeks to get them. You can actually change the logos on them. So I've had Lions in Virginia ordered 200, and they had their foundations and changed some of the logos on there. So they still have the Lions International logo. If you see on those balls, you'll see the Lions USA logo on there, because this is really a function of Lions USA. This is not an official Lions International program. It takes 4 to 5 years to become an official Lions International program, and we don't have to do that. We don't have the time. And with Lions USA, we can get it started tomorrow. Kyle.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, I remember Usman played on a goal ball team for American Rebate.
Goal ball, right, which is a little different.
They use for goal ball, or is that completely different?
Very different ball. It's a bigger ball. That's more like a full-size soccer ball. Right, and that's a little different and that's inside, so, and a goal ball, you don't own it. It's bigger, you're not gonna, I mean, it's,
It's really only used for that.
Hmm?
It's just used for that.
yes, just for that.
Just curious.
So again, this ball gets donated to the child, and if there's activities in there, a member of the Association for Blind and Vision Impaired, you might have one there, so there's activities in addition to that. But the most important part is that each kid gets to take it home. When we were in Nairobi, we were at the Thika School for the Blind. In these other countries, they don't have foster parenting really doesn't exist, and adoption doesn't really happen. And so they have homes where it's either Downs kids are there, that are run by Lions, or the School for the Blind in Nairobi had 750 kids there. And we brought 750 balls and gave them to them. And they were shocked that they got to keep the ball. That was amazing. So people said, well, why haven't we had it here before in the United States? You know, we've got so many activities here in the US. These other countries don't have, especially the poor countries. Soccer is the #1 game in the world. Why? Because anybody can play it anywhere and it's cheap. You know, they don't even have a good ball and they're out playing with it. And so you can put out 2 coats and that makes the goal. And some rocks makes the edge of the field. So it's finally here, and because of Elias and what he's done with this, blind soccer is going to be played at the Paralympics in 2028 in Los Angeles, which will be pretty exciting. And we've also are talking with Special Olympics here in town to see what we can do with them, because there's probably more than visually impaired kids that could really benefit from having this. Even autistic kids that would like to participate in it. So it's just starting, and just letting you know about it because it's another opportunity for service. Hadn't even talked to Tim about it yet because he's got enough things on his plate, but we'll get connected with the visually impaired kids in the city and in the state. And the other thing that I have,
If we know of other organizations like Hope Network, other organizations that have services for autism, is that?
well, that request just came up. So since this is just like Lions USA, this is just getting off the ground. Give me a few months, at least into the summer.
About mile 19.
Yeah.
On the marathon.
Right, actually 20, you know, race starts at 20, doesn't it? Anybody know what this is? Rob, Jamie, Brent, Kim, Jeff. This is the Plus Optic Vision Screener. Anybody ever heard of Kidsight? Right, everybody who's been on the vision mission has heard that. The Kidsight USA program was started 12 years ago as a Lions, as a project to supply vision screening to preschool kids. In the vision world, nobody does preschool screening. Your pediatrician, when you take your kids there, and when we took our kids there, they might put a chart up and try to measure their acuity. Most of the time it's done wrong. They're at the wrong distance, the lighting's bad. With our kids, I remember Cheryl came back and she said, yeah, the nurse said the kid's vision is 20/40 and they're just fine. Well, anybody who's been on a vision mission knows that 20/40 is not fine, okay? And I had just examined all the kids and they were better than 20/20. So visual acuity charts is not an accurate way, and it's not an all-inclusive way, as it's usually done wrong. So this machine, when you turn it on and get it lined up, shoots an infrared beam out of here into the patients, and I'll screen, who's the youngest member here? Ben? No.
He's got a contact.
Jeremy, you're gonna win. We're gonna screen you here in a minute. Let me stop using this thing. So this shoots a beam out into their eyes, and in 0.2 of a second, when it all gets lined up, the beam comes back in and it measures the prescription objectively. So it's bouncing it off the retina, it comes back and measures what it takes to focus it. It measures prescription for each eye. It measures if the eyes line up, because if they're not lined up, what happens? You're gonna end up with a lazy eye because don't have binocular vision. And it measures pupil size. Because if pupil size is more than 2 millimeters different, that can be a neurological impairment. So it's doing three things. Actually, now the new machine will actually measure visual acuity if it's 20, 30 or worse. So it's measuring 4 different things, and it has, on the back of it, it has an age. So we've measured kids that were 6 months old. So at 6 months, it has criterion for what the referral is for those measurements. And as they get older, 2 years old or 6 years old, those referral numbers are different, right? So what somebody might measure something at 1 year old, if they have that same reading at like a +4 when they're 8 years old, at 1 year old, we're not going to put glasses on them or recommend an eye exam because everybody's born farsighted. At 8 years old, if you're a +4, you definitely want to have glasses on because your close-up is going to be impaired. I'm a perfect example. I went my whole up to 21 years old. My only screening was on the chart at the pediatrician's office, and I was always better than 20/20. Hit my first eye exam at optometry school, and they said, "Well, we're writing a prescription for your glasses." I said, "What are you talking about? I can see clearly." So you can see clearly, but I was a +2. Well, that meant that I was focusing constantly. Even to see across the room, I had to focus. When I went to read, I had to focus even more, and I could only read for 10 to 15 minutes at a time. I thought I had poor study habits. You know, I'm hyperactive anyway, so I get up and run around and come back and try to read again. So my reading test, when I did a 5-minute reading test for comprehension, were really good. When I did a 15-minute or more test, I was horrible. So I could see, but my efficiency was bad. And 80% of what's taught in school is presented visually. So if you're working really, really hard, it's like running around all day with 2-pound ankle weights on. So the criterion is different for different ages. I'll show you how hard it is. Brian, why were you looking for the eldest? Well, you know the answer, but I'll give it, right? So as we get older and more mature, we have other conditions like cataracts, dry eye that can cause an unequal surface of the cornea, which would cause a referral. And frankly, referrals aren't bad because we do this, as you know, in vision missions, we do it on adults, right? But we're also getting the measurements. I'm getting that objective number on here. So when I look at it, I can say, okay, it's a refer, and I can look at the numbers and see why, or it's a pass. So it works on anybody, but again, it's meant for students. I know you probably don't have cataracts yet. Probably. So all you gotta do is look right there. Nope. And it says, so I didn't have to hit a button to trigger. All I did was turn it on. So you hit it once initially and it's doing all the work. It takes a picture. Okay, and you're just looking for these green lines to line up, and it says refer. So let's look at your numbers.
Glad you came.
It shows that you're nearsighted, correct? Your nearsightedness is improving. So the numbers here show a plus 1.5. So that means that you're working really hard to see through your contacts. Okay. So when was your last exam? Like over a year? Okay, all right, good time to go.
Yeah.
So this whole program is, again, for preschool screening, with kids birth to 6 years old, especially for stuff where the eyes don't line up, or where one eye is 0 and the other eye is a +2 or a -2, and they're using one eye over the other, that develops into amblyopia, which is reduced vision in that eye. And if you catch it early enough, you can correct it so that they're not going to lose vision or have less corrected acuity. Again, it's not done all around our country, but with Lions, we can go in and do preschool screenings at the nurseries, wherever. Actually, there's many pediatricians that are now buying these units and using it in their office. And it doesn't say that they have to have glasses, it's a referral. Like the Kent County and Ottawa County Health Department does screenings on kids once they're in school, and they're pretty good. And I'd say 9 out of 10 ones that I got that were referred ended up needing glasses. But 1 out of 10 don't, because the numbers showed that, okay, they were either on the borderline or their referral, but it wasn't bad enough that they needed to have glasses. So this was developed by Lions in the United States as a program. And because of that, 28 other countries have asked us for the information on doing it. So now Kidsight USA is now Kidsight, which is being organized under Lions Clubs International, became a program of that. But we have a great need here in Grand Rapids because we're not doing any of this. Okay, so it's an opportunity to say, and many cities are doing it, the Lions are doing it, where they're talking to the schools and they're getting in there. You can do it in the schools. If they let you come in and do it, it works really well. You know, we've seen on our mission trips, we see tons and tons of students, especially the ones down in Jamaica, where we all see students show.
The Grand Valley Campus Club, when they were a club, used to go into the early childhood center and do screenings in the morning. Took just one morning and they got through all 80 kids.
So it's another opportunity for a program that's well needed that we can do as we're looking for service things to do. Anybody can do this. They tell people if you can stand or sit and you can move your hands, you can operate this machine because you don't have to be a doc to do it. It works great. All of you that have been on a trip have seen it, have done it. And anything you guys want to add to this?
Works best with a couple of people. What they write down.
Yeah, a scribe. Yeah. So usually we set up teams, like if we're doing it at a school, you might have 3 of these devices and you can go through 100 kids in practically half an hour. So then the referral, they're given information on referral to go to, and in Grand Rapids, where would we refer them? If they don't have an eye doctor, we're gonna refer them to the Grand Rapids Lions Vision Clinic in Cherry Health. And they do all the work to take care of it. If they need glasses, it gets taken care of. So we've really got the back end of it all taken care of. Just the front end, we're not doing anything here in Grand Rapids, and there's a lot of opportunity to do that. So I am done talking. Thanks for listening to the old guy. No, I don't want to talk.
I was giving a mug.
No mug.
I couldn't get it to work.
It wasn't.
Thanks, everybody, for coming. This is a great turnout, and meeting's adjourned. Well, April 12th service project, April 15th back here.